Hi everyone, Hirsch Saha here, reporting from Auckland as usual, and today is the 14th of June 2024. And for today's talk video, well, if you're in a financial rut, how to get out of it. Um, Here in Auckland, unfortunately, it's been pretty bad weather. We're now definitely into winter. It's been raining for a lot of today, and still a cost of living crisis, and crime is on the up, and what have you. But be that as it may, still trying to keep positive and, move forward and just focusing on everything that's good. And I must admit that even doing this talk video, I almost decided not to do it, to postpone it, because to be honest, actually, I feel a bit uncomfortable. I had earlier, I had a job interview which didn't quite go according to plan, and and to be honest, I was basically just told to leave in the middle of it. And of course, I wasn't happy, but I just thought I'd sort of, try to make a good thing out of a bad thing. When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And I was just thinking, no, how can I move on from it? I mean, first I actually realized that actually, no, I think actually being asked to leave the job interview, or certainly not getting that job, was actually, I think, a blessing in disguise for me, because when I had the interview and I saw who was giving the interview, the who would be, my manager had I got the job. She was definitely someone who was very, very opinionated, with quite intimidating, with a cold, hard stare, and probably not someone I'd want to have, watching over my shoulder all the time, basically being my boss or my manager. So when I think about it, I think actually I dodged a bullet there. And so I sort of feel good about it, just sort of learning from it. And I still kind of think what sort of happened there, but try not to dwell on it. I mean, and I don't mind even just quickly discussing it. Like, she gave sort of a scenario based on a true story, where there was a building manager, as you know, a building manager which takes care of a residential complex, all the, the general cleaning, maintenance, facilitating things like that, and people moving in and out. And in this building complex, unfortunately, there was a bit of a bad egg, someone who was actually quite violent, aggressive, potentially dangerous based on how he treated another resident. And the body corporate committee, the body corporate who oversees the complex, tried to install a security system out of a lot after a lot of toing and froing. And getting quotes and looking at plans, they decided to do absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, and this might even make your blood boil, they decided that the reputation of the complex, their reputation, they believed was more important than the safety of their own residents. And don't forget who pays the body corporate levies or fees for the complex. So that's what happened. And this individual building manager thought, oh, I just can't leave it there, because we do have a potentially a very dangerous person here, and I just can't leave it there. I need to do something about it, even if I've been told not to. So he started telling people verbally, not in writing, about that there's a particular resident there that is not quite the model human being. So just stay away from him. Don't, look at him. Don't even talk to him. Don't say hello. Certainly do not, provoke him in any way, shape, or form. If anything goes wrong, let the building manager know, or even the police know. And so, so this in this job interview, this scenario was put forward to me, and my conclusion was actually, I think that this building manager in this situation actually did a very good thing. I'm not saying right or wrong, because sometimes there's no right or wrong answer. As you know, there are better and worse answers, and things can be very, very arguable. But I would think in this situation, the building manager did a pretty good job, because what he did is he went beyond the scope of his abilities, his responsibilities. Sorry, not abilities. He went beyond the scope of his responsibilities. There's that saying, you have to keep following the rule book, but a time will come when you just have to throw the rule book away and do your own thing. And not saying that that should be done. That's a bit drastic, but he did that in part. What I mean is that he went a bit beyond the rule book. Basically, in my words, he put a human element into it, and he decided that he actually cared for the safety and well-being of the residents of his complex, as opposed to just doing what the body corporate committee told him to do. You know, and that's what I told this person, this interviewer who I had for the job interview today, and she reacted actually very negatively to it. She was like, "No, no, okay, well that's it. I can't have someone like you working for me." That's it. And she just stopped writing there. She just stopped everything, and she told me to just get up and, you know, piss off, fob off, whatever you want to however you want to put it, and just there and then. And she was saying, no, no, this is maybe it was a bit of a trick question. I thought about it more, but I still stand by the answer I gave before, and the answer I had at first. I still stand by that. I do think the building manager did a very good thing in that situation, given the situation. And she was like, no, no, that's he deliberately disobeyed the body corporate management, his managers, his bosses, and that was obviously a wrong thing, a definite no-no. But I'm thinking, but he's looking out for the safety, the well-being, the safety of the residents. Isn't that wouldn't that sort of be seen as more important than just following what a manager or even a group of managers says? Because of course they could be wrong. But of course, so in this job interview, she really told me to just basically get out, and she was angry and all that, and walked out of her office, and then other people saw me, and I was just like, well, remember, some people have it up here, some don't. She didn't like that, but I think I had a point, and maybe I should have. I didn't say it, but maybe I should have. What she was saying is basically the Nuremberg defense. I was only following orders. It really struck me that that's exactly what she's getting at, and she's actually saying that that was the right thing to do. That sometimes even when something inside you says no, this is wrong, you just blindly follow orders. That's obviously what you shouldn't do in any job, and certainly again in any job you need to put the safety of people, ahead of, well, everything else, because assets, facilities, whatever, it's all replaceable, isn't it? No matter how much it costs, it's all replaceable. But people are not replaceable. But hey, that is my opinion. Maybe I'm just completely out of it. Definitely not getting that job. But like I said, actually, I kind of feel better because I don't want to have a boss like her watching over me all the time. I don't want to work in an office with her in the office, even if she's not the boss, even if she's someone at the bottom. So I think I actually really dodged a bullet there. But I just thought that was a really interesting experience. And yeah, as I say, you either win or you learn. You never lose. So no such thing as failure, only feedback, like I said in another one of my talk videos. So I thought I'd put that through to you, and hey, feel free to let me know in the comments what you think of it. But I still stand by what I said. No, I think the building manager in that situation did, a good thing. Because yeah, putting people's safety and well-being is just in front of everything else. Well, it's paramount, so it should be put in front of everything else. Okay, finally, that's definitely enough, digressing from me, enough going off on a tangent. Finally, we're now almost 8 minutes into this video. So, okay, this talk video 99 in this channel. If you're in a financial rut and how to get out of it, yes, we all find ourselves in a financial rut from time to time, and yes, it can be very intimidating. It can be, just got to stop using that word. It can be, the right word is, it can be very daunting. It can be scary. It can be worrying. It can be stressful. It can keep you awake at night. And honestly, I have experienced some of that myself in my life. And what you need to do is just start off from where you can. And I'll try to make this also as simple as possible. I would say if you are in a financial rut, you've got debts, expenses are piling up, you're not really having enough in the way of cash reserves, and you might be even worried about your sources of income, such as your job and any other sources of income. Well, first, of course, I would say try to cut costs as much as you can. Obviously, you don't starve yourself, but cut costs as much as you can and make everything as efficient as possible, and eliminate all wastages. So eliminate inefficiencies and eliminate wastages. It's like the very first talk video I made, the 5 easy ways to save money. Well, basically 6 ways, because I added to it in the description. Implement those ways for saving money as much as you can on all your costs, and that's a very good way to start off with. So yeah, minimize costs as much as you can, but you don't have to starve yourself. Then on top of that, see where else you can get sources of income, just wherever else you can. It could be taking up a second job. It could be taking up more hours at the same job. It could be taking up just something else, whatever it is, to make more money. It could be taking up, a very casual or part-time job, or just something extra that you can do, perhaps in your community or in your, your neighborhood. So, taking up extra jobs is good. Yes, of course, you can start a business. The thing with a business, not saying it's a bad idea. It's just that, businesses can take time to sort of really get going, and they normally need money in the beginning, despite what business they are. you might remember that other talk video I made about the 5 main ways to make money. Think about that. You might already be in a job, but the other ways to make money, like saving money in a bank or, putting it in shares, starting a business, investing in property. Think about what other ways there that you can make money that also suit you. Everyone is different. It also comes down to what they want, what suits them, what they're comfortable with. And on that note, when you're cutting down costs or when you do have any extra spare money, honestly, pay off debts, because the minute you pay off the debts, the interest costs go away as well. And start off with the debts that has the highest interest cost. So when you pay off those debts, then your interest costs, or the interest costs that you're paying, the debts with the highest interest costs, well, those interest costs go away first. So pay off the debts first with the highest interest costs, and then work your way down to the debts with the lowest interest costs. And especially things like, what they sometimes call, dumb debt, things like credit cards and hire purchase, lay-bys, loans on things like cars and household appliances and holidays, all that, really try to pay those off. So far, we've got minimize expenses as much as you can, as in my first talk video. Second, maximize revenue, take up another job or more hours of the same job. Think of those 5 ways, 5 main ways to make money, as in my other talk video. Implement the best, implement from that, what is best for you, what suits you the most. And of course, pay off debts, especially the short term dumb debts, and start off with those with the highest interest. And then of course, when you can, I would say save money. You should always have some money tucked away, always, no matter how well things are going. I actually remember my own father telling me, especially after the global financial crisis or the Great Recession of 2008 and onwards, he told me 2 things. Both basically actually have the same message, but it's still worth hearing both of them. And he was saying, look, remember this: when you make money, that's when you save money. When you make money, that's when you save money. And secondly, no matter how well things are going, you always, always, always put something away for a rainy day. So that's very good advice to follow. And you might think, how much should I have in savings, as basically a cash buffer, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. It really depends on you, because everyone is different also in their expenses. You might just be an individual living in an apartment. You might be, someone with a partner and 4 children, and they're all dependent on you, and you have a house. And obviously, everyone has different expenses, different commitments. So normally, I would say how much you should try to have in savings is probably enough for at least to keep you alive for 3 months if you have no income, to pay 3 months of expenses, ideally up to 6 months, but at least 3 months. That's kind of like a rule of thumb you can use of how much you should have in savings. So, yep, minimize costs, maximize revenues, see where you can get more income, pay off debts, especially those with the highest interest, and then also try to put away some money for a rainy day, ideally 3 to 6 months of expenses. And then what else can you do? Well, if you've managed to do that, well, then actually you're doing very well. And if you're able to accumulate money or assets on top of that, that is very good. And again, like that other talk video I had, the 5 main ways to make money, you can then decide what you want to do. Whether you want to start a business, take on another job, put money, say, in a term deposit, or in shares or mutual funds, or perhaps even have a look at property. And of course, you would then, go down that road. If you don't know much about it, that's fine. You can talk to people who do. You can have a mentor. You can do research. You can watch programs, YouTube videos. You can read books, whatever. Do courses, educate yourself, and then move forward from there. Always stick to a tight budget. Be very, very realistic. Remember, the more sure you are about something, the less risky it is. I remember reading that in a book. The more sure you are about something, the better, as good as you've planned it, or the more you've planned it, the less risky it is, whatever it is. So that's another thing moving forward. And what would I say? Once you've done those things and you want to move forward, yeah, it just depends on you. What you're comfortable with. Well, comfortable with how much work you want to do in a given week, how many things you want to take on at a time, how much you want to have on your plate, and then you just move forward. Even with wealth, when you have managed to pay down the dumb debt and you've minimized your expenses and you've put enough, at least a good amount away for a rainy day, and even on top of that, you're perhaps working another job or doing a side business or investing in property or putting money in a term deposit or shares. When you start to do those things and you start to if you like, accumulate income or assets, try not to fall into the trap that as your income goes up, so does your expenses. No, don't fall into that trap. Of course, as your income goes up, your expenses can go up. After all, life is just for fun. I remember my mother saying that to my dad a long time ago when I was a kid, and he was working very hard, a bit of a workaholic, and I remember she just saying to him one time, "Look, life is just for fun. Come on, don't work too hard. Life is just for fun. You need to enjoy." And I couldn't agree more. Life is just for fun. So you can decide how much you want to take on when you are financially comfortable. You've done all those things I mentioned. You can take on whatever you're comfortable with. It could be even moving on to a part-time job and a side business, or might just be happy with your full-time job and nothing else. You might decide to perhaps invest in a property on the side while still doing your full-time job, whatever it is. You might decide that you want to work in a job that you actually enjoy more than your current or previous job, even if the pay is a bit different. So that's awesome. You have that freedom. But yeah, remember, as your income goes up, of course your expenses can go up, but try to have your income going up fast or by more than your expenses go up. So let's say for discussion's sake, or for the sake of making this example, say your income goes up by 2 notches. Okay, your expenses should go up by 1 notch. Always have that margin in between. If your income goes up by 3 notches, okay, your expenses can go up by say 1.5 or 2 notches. That's okay, but always keep your expenses going up by less than your income. So don't fall into that trap again that just because your income is going up, that your expenses go up with it. And that actually happens to a lot of people. They can sometimes be on very high incomes, on very high salaries, but at the end of the day, they haven't accumulated much wealth, they haven't saved much money because they spend it pretty much just as fast. Some even do the opposite and they get into debt. And they're only 1 or 2 paychecks away from financial disaster. So keep that in mind. And remember the thing with money, with wealth, don't just think, oh, I want to be a millionaire, or okay, I've reached 1 million, what now? Oh, got to go for 5 million, then 10 million or what have you. It's not about that. Really, it isn't. It isn't. I know there's that pressure on us, but again, it's about you. Everyone is different. How much money is enough for you to make you comfortable? I remember reading in Robert Kiyosaki's books, Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. And if I remember correctly, I think it was in his book, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. He wrote about sort of being, you accumulate more money and wealth, and then you become financially secure. If you accumulate even more, you become financially comfortable. You accumulate even more, you become rich. So that's one way to look at it. And again, it depends on you at what level each one is at. What amount of income or what amount of wealth is security for you, or being comfortable, or being rich. Again, that depends on you and your own commitments, your own expenses. So I guess the ideal would be you'd want to have enough income to get by and put some away for savings continually, and maybe just a bit more on top of that, or somewhat more on top of that, so you can have some leeway, margin, and of course enjoy life. That would probably be the ideal. And it's interesting, sometimes when you don't have way too much money, it means you actually spend it better. You spend it more wisely, or at least you're forced to spend it more wisely, and you enjoy it. Therefore, it's a bit like, if you only get to go on an overseas trip once a year, well, then you enjoy it, and you make the most of it. Whereas if you can afford to go on an overseas trip every month or 2 months, you probably won't enjoy it as much. It loses its novelty. When things are more rare, you enjoy them much more. Just like they say, with junk food, eat less of it, and because you're eating less of it, not only will you be healthier, you'll actually enjoy it more because you only get to have it, say, once a week or once a fortnight, whatever you decide to do. And I think I mentioned that before. Same with work. It's good to have a certain number of hours of work in the day. Again, whatever suits you. Depending on the job and what you're happy with, and depending on things like your own physical health and your other commitments. You know, have a certain number of hours of work in the day, where it makes you feel like you've really achieved something, and also gets you out of bed in the morning. Gets you out of the house, and then you feel like you've achieved something, and then you enjoy the evening, you enjoy the weekends because you've been working all week. Too much of free time, and you don't value it, you don't enjoy it as much. Too little free time, you become too stressed and overworked. Try to find that balance. Again, it depends on you. And again, just coming back to money, remember, as I say, as you accumulate more and more money, yes, you do become happier, but only up to a certain point. and then you don't become any happier. And again, that point would depend on, the individual, what is, say, enough or plenty of money to them, again, based on their own commitments and their lifestyles and all that. So, keep that in mind. You want to keep accumulating money up to a certain point, and then remember, think about the marginal benefit. Is it really worth accumulating more? You might say, no, I'm actually quite content here. I actually want to just focus on enjoying it now, you know. So I guess, yeah, that's if you're in a financial rut, which unfortunately many of us are, and especially these days with the cost of living crisis and the weak economy, you know, yeah, that's what you do. So, in absolute summary, minimize expenses. Think about that first talk video I made. Pay down debts is starting off with those with the highest interest. Try to maximize your income, whatever works for you. Think of the main ways you can make money, and then start to put money away for a rainy day. Always try to have that buffer of savings, probably enough for about 3 to 6 months of expenses. And then on top of that, you decide what works for you, what you want to do in terms of work, how many hours you want to work, what you want to work as, where you want to put your money, and you go from there and try to find a balance that suits you in terms of what you do, the hours of work in the day, how much money you're earning, and then just sort of, realizing when enough is pretty much enough, and you realize that you have pretty much reached that nirvana, that level, and, going higher is probably not really worth it. That's what you want to achieve. And yes, it might take time to get there. It may take effort, but hey, nothing great comes without time and effort and hard work, does it? And wherever you are on this, track, hey, keep going, you know, keep your head down, keep positive, always focus on the good things in life, never give up, take it one step at a time, try not to get stressed. And remember in life, it's the journey. It's the journey, not the destination. Thank you.